Alright, for this project I'm going to be using some really inexpensive 1x12 pine. This particular board is really warped, but that's going to be okay. It's got a nasty knot right here that I'm going to cut around. And over here I've got a big chunk coming out. So very inexpensive wood. You don't need really good wood for every project. I'm going to make one of these pocket hole screwed, and the other one is just going to be glued together. And the first thing that I did is used a big square and oversized my marks. I've got 4 sections that are 15 inches that I'm going to cut out, and then 2 sections that are 11 inches. Now on these marks that I made, they're rough measurements. Everything is just a little bit big, that way I can fine tune them on the table saw. And also it's better to lay out like this beforehand, because this knot I'm cutting out, and the majority of this big chip right here I'm not even going to use. So this way I've got a good idea of what each piece is going to look like before I start cutting. Also, the first time I made this bread box, I made this little template on some 1/4 inch plywood, and I'm not sure if the camera's going to show, but I've got the actual shape drawn out with a nice dark pencil line on a 1:1 scale. It's perfect size, so that way when I cut all my pieces, I can lay this flat and then stand them up and visually see if this is the correct size and if all my angles are going to match up before I start any type of assembly. So I recommend doing this if you're going to build more than one. Alright guys, this is an interesting setup I have here. This is the table saw jointing jig that I made with the center arm removed. I've got this arm fixed, clamped down to the base of the sled, and this is exactly 30 degrees off of the fence. And this right here is a stop block, so that once I get my piece 30 degrees, I can locate it right here, so that my intersection right here is 2 inches off of the base. So here's the base, 2 inches, 30 degrees. So from this corner, 2 inches this way is where my 30 degree cut will start. Alright, I've got all of my pieces for both thread boxes done. And this is where this full-size template really comes in handy. You can see that. I've got a full 1:1 drawing on this piece of plywood, and I can use it as a visual reference to see if I cut all my pieces correct. This really helps in this situation because the bread box, the door, neither one of these ends are 90 degrees. Where the bottom meets, it's 15 degrees, and up here it's 30 degrees. So as you can see, 15 and 30 degrees, and you can just line it up with the stencil outline and verify that everything is just the way it needs to be. And I'm happy with that. The only thing I'm worried about here is where it meets the actual plywood. So I'm very happy with that. Now I can start making the cuts for the actual assembly. Alright, so this is a dry assembly after the rabbets have been cut. I've got some cleaning up to do with the chisel, and then it'll be good to set this all together with some glue and clamps. For the second bread box, I'm just going to go with pocket hole construction. With all my holes cut, I can start in on my assembly. Alright, so these are the two bread boxes after assembly. You know, I used really crappy wood here, and that's okay. None of my joints, not a single joint on these, are absolutely perfect. I'm just going to come back with a random orbital sander and sand everything nice and smooth, and it'll be just fine. The doors, I still need to get hinges for and do a little bit of trimming because they're very tight. They're going to open up like this. So, gotta get the hinges and trim some up. But this one was glued together with the rabbets, and it turned out really well. It's the first time I've done that. This one is all pocket hole construction. So on the inside, if you're looking at it like the camera is, you're going to see these pocket holes in the back. You can plug them, you can leave them. For me, I'm just going to leave them because the box is going to be closed and there's going to be bread in here anyway, so who cares. I've also got some pocket holes in the top here, but you'll never see them. There's some on the inside of this front piece, but you'll never see them. And of course, there's some on the bottom, but it's sitting on something, so you'll never see it. Alright, I've got the rabbeted bread box sitting on its back, and I've got the lid sitting in place with a couple of clamps down here holding it to stop it from sliding down. And what I'm doing is just going to eyeball these where I want them, and I'll screw them in place and have it fully functional before I start sanding any of these joints nice and smooth. Alright, I took the doors off both bread boxes and sanded them down nice and smooth. All the joints look really well. And I've just spray painted them with some Kills Original primer. So they're all primed, ready to go. I'm going to let this dry for a little bit. Alright guys, so that's it. Both of these are done. Whether you want to do a pocket hole construction or a rabbet and glue only construction, they're both the same design and they're both relatively easy to make. I'm sorry I don't have a lot of detail on this build as far as getting the whole project done. I've had a heck of a time dealing with that camera, and next project is going to be done with a different camera and it'll be alright. But anyway, all that's left to do is these are going to go to their owner and they're going to paint them however they want, and after that they can install a pole of their choice. But this project is done. It was very easy to do, and about $10 invested into each one, so relatively inexpensive, and I used pretty crappy wood. So anyway, if you like what you see, like and subscribe, and you guys have a great day.